17, I got real sick. At first, the symptoms were mild, but as the weeks turned into months, I just kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. So we went to the specialist, and the specialist said, Mr. Hamilton, I want you to take these drugs. And if that doesn't work, we'll have to do surgery. But the drugs weren't working. I wasn't even getting high. I just kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. I got too sick to go to school, too sick to go outside. I got too sick to do anything. And then it happened. All of a sudden, everything went black, just blackness. And then I could hear this sound, and it was really muffled, but it started to get clearer. I could hear it was somebody moaning in pain. And as it got a little bit clearer, I started to realize it was me moaning in pain. And then I could hear my mom pounding on the bathroom door, yelling at me to open the door. And as I stood up, I realized I had passed out and smashed right through the glass shower doors. I had blood running down my chin. My parents took one look at me, and they rushed me to University Hospital in London, Ontario. And that's where the story really begins. I got to the hospital, and I was like a rock star. They brought me in the room right away. They started plugging me with needles, hooking me up to saline, and then he started asking me questions. Questions like, Mr. Hamilton, have you been sexually active lately? I'm thinking, sexually active? I just passed out going to the bathroom. Nobody wants none of this. But everybody was very concerned with how I was doing. The surgeon came over to me and he said, Mr. Hamilton, we're going to have to do surgery. But you're too weak. You can't handle the surgery right now. So we're going to need a few days to build you back up, and then we'll try surgery. I was thinking, I'm 17. I know everything. So I'm thinking, I don't care. I'm in the hospital. That's where you go to get better. I'm not really going anywhere, so do what you got to do. So after a few days of tests and in hospital cuisine, my mom... So my mom, she came up to me and she told me what I was up against, and she said, Wayne, you've got to eat everything they give you and listen to what the doctors are telling you because you've got to have this surgery. And I said, Mom, I don't think Jell-O and chicken broth is the breakfast of champions. She said, shut up and do what you're told. I said, all right, Mom. But I wasn't really concerned because I was 17. So I was only focused on two things: partying with my friends for May 2-4 and girls. And you have to realize that just a few months earlier, I had lost my virginity. But I knew I didn't do a very good job. Hey, Michael Jordan didn't make the team the first time he tried out. So what did he have to do? Practice. But I knew I wasn't going to get any practice in the hospital, so I had to focus on not where I was, but where I wanted to be. So everybody in the room, they seemed to know how the story is supposed to end, except for me, because I was Mr. Optimistic over here. So when my friends started coming to visit me, I didn't understand why they looked so sad and didn't know what to say to me. When I would talk to them about going out for May 2-4, they just looked at me like, man, you're never leaving this hospital room. But Mr. Optimistic, he wasn't checking the signs, didn't really see when the next people came to see me. And they were the kids from my primary school. I hadn't seen those guys since I was like 10 years old. And I didn't know what to think, because for me, I'm in the hospital, I'm going to get better. Now the alarm bells, if I was more astute, but I'm 17, I know everything, so I wasn't that astute. If I was more astute, I would have got really alarmed when the next guy came into the room, because the next guy was the pastor from the church behind my house. But here's the catch. I don't go to church. He's not my pastor. He's my neighbor's pastor. They asked him to come and see me. So he says to me, Mr. Hamilton, is it all right if I say a prayer for you? And I'm thinking, well, it's kind of weird. I've never had anybody pray for me before, but go ahead, cowboy, knock yourself out. So he starts praying, but he's not praying for me. He's praying for God to look after my soul when it gets to heaven. I'm like, whoa. My soul ain't going anywhere. We got practicing to do. Now, I don't know if it was those heavy pharmaceuticals, because, the hospital has some strong stuff. But from the moment the pastor left to before the surgeon came, I had like this message that came into my head. I don't know where it came from, but it came into my head and it said, you got to get your acting on. It's going to save your life. I'm thinking, acting, what does that got to do with anything? So the surgeon comes in and he starts doing his inspection. He's poking around my belly. And he gets to one point in my belly and I start acting. That hurts. He starts poking around again. I'm fine. And he gets to this one spot and I act again. That hurts. He does that a third time and I do the acting. He looks at me and says, we have to do surgery. But reality is, I really couldn't feel anything. I was as high as Bob Marley. I was acting. So the next thing I know, there's a flurry of activity going on. These two nurses come into the room, and the one nurse says to me, she's going to hold my arms down while the other one gives me a needle. I'm thinking, you guys have been giving me needles all week. Why do you have to hold my arms down? So she holds my arms down, gets real close to my face. I can smell her coffee breath. The other nurse takes this big-ass needle out, lifts it up over her head, and jams it into my leg. My whole body convulses, and I say every swear word I could think of. Next thing I know, I'm signing papers. I'm getting ready for surgery. My parents come into the room. My mom's crying, and my dad's trying to hide his tears because, he's an old-school dad. And they're looking at me like it's the last time they're ever going to see me. They roll me out of the room, roll me into this surgery room. It's really cold. It's very bright. And the lady says to me, I'm going to put this mask on you. And then when I count from 10 to 1, you're going to fall asleep. I'm thinking, I'm cold, I'm scared, and I'm wide awake. So good luck with that. She puts the mask on my face, and she starts counting. 10, 9, 8. Everything went black. Next thing I know, I'm really cold, and I feel like a cold breeze coming downstairs. I lift up this blanket, and I realize all I have on is a surgical gauze. Then I start to realize my boys are newborn baby bald. I'm thinking, hold on a minute, I didn't sign up for this. I said to myself, that bad boy better still work because I got practicing to do later. But I survived, I made it. I didn't know not everybody was happy that I made it because, some people had to go all the way to London, Ontario, had to pay $1 million parking at the hospital, all for a false alarm. I didn't know they weren't happy because I never seen them again. But it was okay. I made it. My parents started telling me, and if they had waited much longer, a couple more hours, the surgery wouldn't have worked, and the story would have ended the way everybody thought it was supposed to end. But I really believe that the story ended the way I wanted because I was never really focused on what was going on while I was in it. It was something that I've learned since is whenever I'm in a situation that I don't like, I focus on what I really want to have happen. I focus on the best case scenario. And I've been able to use that to build success in my life. I've been able to use that to do things that was just started out as an imagination, as a dream. Things like I used to sit in the crowd, and now I'm standing on stage and speaking on stage multiple times a year. And it was all because I learned the gift of being obliviously sick. Thank you.